Hello friends, here with the Lonesome Gamer, and today I'm gonna play Pendragon, The Fall of Roman Britain. It's the latest game of the Coin series, Volume 8, designed by Marc Guyon-Reti. I don't know if it's a French guy, but seems so, and published by GMT Games. And I played this as part of my historical journey. The last thing we did was Britannia, and if you take a look here at the cover, it seems nearly like an homage to this old Avalon Hill classic. And indeed, this game portrays at least part of that large-scale time span that Britannia covers. This focuses completely on the decline of the Roman reign in Britain. Okay, so let's set it up. Okay, so we see a map of Britain here, and as you might get, the setup is quite a bit of work. All these cubes and other pieces here, a lot to do. Now, there are 4 factions in the game, and first of them, the Romans, or basically the Roman military. These are the red guys, and they have one type of unit, cavalry, the red cubes, and then their strongholds. These ones here are forts. Now these are really good in fighting, and their goal, at least at the start of the game, is to keep Britain prosper, to defend it against raiders, and also to try to gain prestige, which they will also gain when they defend or when they defeat raiders. So they want to have a total of prosperity plus prestige of 76, and at the moment the total prosperity is 80, and they don't have any prestige, which is down here, but they would fulfill their victory conditions right now. Prosperity is indicated by these little golden cubes here, so every region on the map has a specific prosperity, usually depending on the population. So, for example, here we got a population of 2 in Cornovii, and we have a basic prosperity of 2, more or less, these in the lower row, and then in the upper row there are 2 more, and these additional 2 may only be there if Britain is under Roman rule. If it becomes autonomous, or if there's fragmentation, only this lower line with 2 prosperity can be filled. Now it is possible that the population increases, and then it is allowed to fill also these 2 boxes here, and the population can only increase by 1. So therefore there are only these 2 additional boxes there. Okay, so the other faction is then the Civitates, and this is basically the civil elite, the Briton elite that worked together with the Romans. They adapted, they kind of were assimilated, if you want to say it that way. They learned how to collaborate and how to make profit. And their goal is, well, first of all, they have these, the light blue cubes. This is militia. And here, these are comitates, the dark blue cubes. So the militia is pretty bad in fighting. These comitates are quite good, but at the moment, at the start of the game, they're not available. They come in the game due to events. And they have also two types of strongholds, the hill forts, these darker ones, and the towns, the lighter ones. Now the towns are definitely better when it comes to defense. The hill forts are more outposts. And basically, if you start colonizing a new area where there is nothing, you will first build a hill fort there, and then you can convert that into a town later on. Then we come to the two so-called barbarian factions, the Scotti and the Saxons. And they both play pretty similar. Their actions are more or less the same. Both have so-called warbands, cubes in their respective color. They have also raiders, which are these, which have that specific form here, some kind of a, well, might say a round triangle or whatever. I don't really know how to call these things. And they have settlements. Now these raiders, the warbands are pretty solid when it comes to battle. The raiders are very weak, but they can do raids and thereby steal prosperity, and they will kind of show up in great masses, grab the stuff, and then just run away. And well, the settlements, they are also very, very weak, just like the hill forts of the Civitates. They might even be worse. I'm not absolutely sure, actually. And the goal of these factions, the Scots, they want renown of 46. Now renown is basically their currency. They pay their commands with renown, and if they gain plunder, it is converted into renown. So it's yeah, as I said, the currency. So they want renown of 46, and in addition to that, they want at least 4 settlements on the map. And I forgot to say what the victory conditions of the Civitates is. They want here 37 population under Britain control. And in addition, They want a civilian dominance. So at the moment we have a military dominance, but this can go over here and then it's a civilian dominance. And if they manage to get there, then and have 37 provinces or population under control, they win the game. So one part of that they would also fulfill at the moment. And finally the Saxons, they also have their warbands, their raiders and their settlements. And there are two ways for them to win. Wait a minute. Oh gosh. Okay, there we are. So the first one is, if they gain control over 10 population. Right now they are at 0. You can see, by the way, there is no barbarian unit on the board at the moment. So if they gain control over 10 population, they would win the game. The other way is if they have, let me see, yeah, if their renown exceeds 30, and there would be at least 4 Saxon settlements on the board, then they would also win the game. Right now their renown is at 10. So at the moment barbarians are far from winning, and the Roman factions at least kind of fulfill already their victory conditions. So we have here the Imperium track, and there are basically here 3 stages. We have Roman rule right at the beginning, and if specific or if prosperity and I think renown or something, if there are specific requirements, then it will fall down to autonomy. And that is checked during an epoch card, and I will explain later how that when these show up. So then this drops down to autonomy, and under specific circumstances this can drop down even to fragmentation. And that will change the game, because the victory conditions for the Romans and the civitates will change depending on the state of the Imperium here. And as long as there is no fragmentation, they also, well, they kind of share control. So that means everything that is here under Britain control is also under Roman control. Okay, there is no difference between the two, and they also share resources. That's the interesting thing. The Romans can simply use the resources of the civitates. That is the reason why they have no resources at the beginning of the game, and they can simply use all the resources of the civitates here. That changes if it's an autonomous state under civilian dominance. If that's the case, they have to ask, and the civitates still might give them money, but they don't have to. Under fragmentation, everybody goes their own way. And we check for control then, and then Romans actually, the Imperium or the military will control their own provinces, and the Britons will control their own provinces. Control means in this game you need, as in other coin games, you need more pieces in a specific region than any other factions in that region combined. Here, though, you need also one stronghold. You cannot control a region if you don't have a stronghold there. Now, these raiders, they don't count toward control. Okay, so no matter how many raiders there are, doesn't matter. Okay, so we're gonna play a full 4-player game, and I'm gonna play with I'm gonna make the decisions for every player. We have robots that come with, wait a second here. We have robots that come with flowcharts, and I mean, this is insane. I've tried it. I've tried it for many hours, and it is possible to do. You can play with these robots, but it takes a long time until you get used to it. And if you play solitaire, I don't know. I mean, it might be fun, but I think I prefer playing the other way. And I think the robots are useful if one person is missing on the table. Then it kind of makes sense, because yeah, I don't know, you don't have the feeling like you're handling more the robots than you are handling your own decisions, right? Or a player's decision. Another interesting point here, every player comes with its own event card that he has right from the beginning. These are so-called pivotal events. Some of them have specific requirements. For example, here, play if no Roman rule. So at the moment we have Roman rule, and that means that is not playable. But if these requirements are fulfilled, and if you are an eligible faction, then you can simply play these pivotal events, and they are pretty strong, and they will change the game to your advantage. So that's definitely something we should keep in mind. Apart from that, the game follows the usual coin game core mechanics. So we see always the two topmost cards, the actual card and the card of the next turn. And we see here the order in which the factions can either execute commands or the event. And then we have here 4 factions. At the moment they all start eligible, and then depending on what the first faction do, the second faction can do something else, and then these both become ineligible for the next turn, and only these 2 factions are eligible in the next turn. And then they will do their stuff, and after that turn these go to eligible again, these go to ineligible, and so on, right? You can also pass, but we're going to get into this a little later. Now, at the deck was set up in a way that I had to make 6 stacks of 12 cards, and in the last 4 cards of every one of these stacks I had to place a epoch cards. So there are 6 epoch cards in the deck, and these cards are like the propaganda cards, for example, in Andean Abyss or Cuba Libre. So there are specific epoch rounds going on, and during this epoch rounds victory conditions will be checked. And so it doesn't matter if someone fulfills its victory condition until such an epoch round. It's important what happens then, and if it's the case exactly there, then yeah, he wins the game. Okay, so I guess we're ready to go, and we simply start the game now. Okay, so let's finally start the game. Our first event is this one here. And actually, I don't really know how it's pronounced, Tintagel or Tintagel. I'm going to pronounce it Tintagel. It sounds a little more right to me, at least. And you can see here the player order would be Civitates, Scotty, Romans, and then the Saxons. But if we take a look at the next card now, the monasteries, if the Civitates would be allowed to play that event, it would give them a wealth of +10. Now let's take a closer look at the victory situation here. Civitates needs a control of population greater than 36, and they want to have a civilian dominance. Right now we have an imperial a military dominance. So how can we change that to civilian dominance? Well, during this epoch phase, pretty much at the beginning of the epoch phase, especially before the victory check, that's the important thing, there is this imperium step. And here it says, if wealth minus prestige is equal or greater 10, shift any military dominance to civilian. And that's pretty important, because if we have a wealth of 10 or more and the prestige here remains at 0, that would be exactly the case. Then this would become civilian, and then we would win the game. So therefore, especially at the beginning, accumulating wealth is highly in the interest of the Civitates. So that is not so easy, by the way. You don't simply get 10 wealth in a turn or something. It's pretty hard to gain wealth. So therefore, this is a very valuable card for them, and they definitely want to play that event. But the Scoti are first here in turn order. If the Scoti... Now, the Civitates could pass on that event so that they remain eligible, right? And then it's the Scoti. And if they would then do a command, or if they trigger the event, then they would be ineligible. That means in the next card, the Civitatis would actually be first. However, they can as well think by themselves, okay, if I pass, it's pretty obvious the Scotty will also pass, because they cannot allow me to gain these 10 wealth. So therefore, I might as well simply play the card in a standard way and do a command or the event. Yeah, because I'm not going to gain the money anyway. So these are the kinds of thoughts you do in this game, and I think that's pretty interesting. But the Scots actually, because they are also not interested in passing, and they see a lot of, see this kind of situation is not the best for them. What they want to do is, they want to play their pivotal event right now, because this is also basically, this event is probably the event that is always played at the beginning of the game, at least most of the time. Maybe if there is an amazingly good event here for the Scots, then they might want to play that, but still the pivotal event of them is so strong, and they need to bring forces onto the board, and that is exactly what this event allows them to do for a very low price, at least for free. Actually for free. So yeah, we're gonna play this Conspiratio Barbarica. There are no requirements for this event, and the Scots are eligible, so it is perfectly legal to play that. And I decided, if I play a card for its event, I want to read the background text, simply because it adds a little bit of historical flavor, and it's a very interesting historical epoch I don't know anything about. So, and if we have the option to get some of this fantastic historical background, because we have such a great playbook here, I think we should do it. The playbook, by the way, is much bigger than the rulebook itself. It has 72 pages, comes with all these background informations of the cards. It also comes with informations about some additional historical informations of the designer, how the system works with the historical situation, and also lots of examples here, also for the non-player, for the robots, how they can be handled. Okay, so let's say we have now here these, that's card 73. So let's see, the barbarian conspiracy, Conspiratio Barbarica in Latin, or Great Conspiracy, is mainly known to us from the works of the historian Ammianus Marcellinus. Since he was writing from Antioch in Syria, many details of the events and chronology remain doubtful. What seems clear is that the winter of 367 AD saw simultaneous large-scale attacks on Britain and northern Gaul by Picts, Scoti, Atacoti, Saxons and Franks, suggesting they may have been coordinated, hence the name. The Roman troops manning the wall of Hadrian appear to have rebelled, either before or as a consequence of the attacks, adding to the magnitude of the catastrophe. The senior Roman officers in charge, the Dux Britanniarum, Fulophandes, and the Comis Maritime Tractus, Nectaridus, were killed or captured, many towns overwhelmed, and the barbarians, augmented by escaped slaves and army deserters, rampaged through much of the island for several months, only checked by the remaining loyal army units garrisoning the southeastern cities. The imperial response took time to develop, especially as Emperor Valentian I was busy on the vital Rhine frontier against the Alemanni. Eventually, in the spring of 368, a relief force led by the Count Flavius Theodosius, father to future Emperor Theodosius I and uncle to the future usurper Magnus Maximus, landed at Rutupiae and undertook to restore the situation, routing raiding bands laden with plunder, offering an amnesty to deserters, executing mutineers, reorganizing the military establishment, eventually ridding the Roman provinces of all invaders and probably mounting some punitive expeditions against their homelands. Okay. So not every background information will be as big, so don't be afraid of too much reading from my side here. But I think it's still really an interesting thing. And so let's play the card. And that is a big deal. That will change the look of the map a lot. So we have here dual onslaught. Scotty free rate 5 targets, rolling 3d4 with feet. Then Saxons may free rate 4 targets, rolling 3d4 with feet. If they do, they are ineligible through next cards. Afterward, no Scotty raid from Oceanus Septentrionalis, which is this one here. So we would be then no longer allowed to raid from here. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. Let's play this and yeah, let's do some raiding. Okay, so let's see. We have to find valid targets for our raids, and it says here locations up to 4 spaces. That's the normal command, but we can do it in 5. And it has to be adjacent to Oceanus Septentrionalis or Hibernicus, or adjacent to Caledonia, or within 1 space of a Scottish settlement with a Scottish warband. Okay, there are no Scottish settlements. So either adjacent to Caledonia, which is here, or Oceanus Septentrionalis, or Oceanus Hibernica. So basically, we can do it anywhere in Britain except for this southeast region here. Still, if we do it adjacent to Caledonia, if from Caledonia we have to subtract from the number that the dice show, and that will indicate how many raiders we can place in that space, we have to subtract the number of forts in Carvetii and in Texto Verdi. So we had to subtract 2. So therefore we might not want to come from Caledonia if we find some better ways. And if these seas would be patrolled, we also had to subtract raiders. But that is not the case. As we see here, there is no patrol here and no patrol there. Different to these seas here are actually patrolled, and that one here too. But that doesn't affect us That doesn't affect the Scots. That's more interesting for the Saxons. Okay, so let's see. Well, basically we have two goals. First of all, we want to grab as much plunder as possible, because that gives us renown, and renown is part of our victory condition. Apart from that, the less prosperity there is on the map, the more will the prosperity is important for the Duke's victory condition. So therefore, this will drop down here, and that's also good for us. So the second goal is to take away control of the Roman factions from specific areas, simply to prevent the Britons, the Civitates, from winning. And here also the provinces with the higher population are more interesting, but we have to remember that we have to destroy. The raiders don't count against control. So basically, as long as we don't have any warbands on the board, to take away control from the Britons, we need to destroy their strongholds. Cities are fairly hard to destroy, so we want to go mainly for the hill forts, I guess. And because there are two hill forts here, I think it might be very hard to destroy these. Still, it's tempting to get in there because it's a rich province. So I think first of all, I want to go in here. There's only a single hill fort with only a single trooper. So that is definitely, and it's a rich province. So that is absolutely a fantastic target. So it says they free raid 5 targets with feet. Now I wonder if they can use the feet for every target or just for one of them, and that is something I want to check here in the playbook. Well, I think they can only add 1 feat. When played, the Scotty must execute the event, which gives them 5 free raid targets, each rolling 3d4. The Scotty may add a surprise or ransom feat. So yeah, I think they can add only 1 feat. So, surprise allows them to get a higher chance of destroying the strongholds, and it also allows them to do a deep raid. So they basically could move further inland if they use a surprise feat. Ransom gives them a chance to get additional money. So it's both interesting. I wonder if I want to move in here, because there's a lot of prosperity here, so that could be tempting, but there are also Roman forces. We could also consider going here. No, actually we won't. That's not possible, that's too far inland. But we can come from Oceanus Hibernicus, and if we do a deep raid, that means we can move basically 1 additional space. So if we add a surprise, we can once do such a deep raid and move an additional space. That could be interesting, as I said. Okay, so let's see. So first we do it here. Then we have a few more options, and I think I want to do it here, here, here. There are everywhere hill forts, and these hill forts are a little weaker than the towns. And so there's a good chance we can destroy these hill forts. And yeah, that's why these are my interesting targets. And you know what? I think I want to move in here. That's also pretty awesome. Can I do that? No, I can't. No, it's also too far away from the sea. I cannot get there. Not even with a deep raid. Where do I want to do my last raid? I could do it here. Yeah, that's possible. I can move through here and then end up here. But there's a town. Still, there's only one defending unit. Hard to tell. Or I'm going to move in here and try to grab the 3. Well, maybe if I'm lucky and I can bring in a lot of... I might be able to destroy the town. Okay, let's move in there to Cornovie. So these are my 5 targets. And yeah, I'm going to use a surprise feat here, obviously. And now, how does that work? Well, we're allowed to roll 3 dice. And these are 3 4-sided dice, although they have 8 sides, but the numbers only go from 1 to 4. So let's see what we roll here. Let's do it here so that you can see it a little better. Okay, that's pretty amazing. That's a 9. And yeah, we started here. So it's interesting to keep in mind that we only have 30 raiders. So if we roll now every time that good, we will not be able to actually do 5 raids. So we're allowed to place 9 here. Okay, so now after these guys arrived here, they are allowed to carry up to the number of population plunder cubes away. So they are simply placed on top of them, and each of these guys can only carry 1 plunder cube. Okay. So, and then we continue, and we still can do an attack at the end of this this raid. We can attack basically in every of these raid targets if we want to. But first let's see where we want to do that. Yeah, I think I want to do it now here. Okay, this is also a ton. Holy shit. These are 10. My dear. That's not so great, actually. This is too much. Let me see. Okay. So they show up all here. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. And here, because the population is only 1, we are only allowed to grab 1 of these pieces. Okay, then I think I want to do it here at... it's hard to tell. I mean, it's also kind of cool to do it over there, right? So do I want to... The point is, if I roll once more that great. Shit, I don't know. I think I want to do it here, because after that card I'm not allowed to do a raid from this side anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna do it here now at Parisi. Okay, another amazing raid. So these are 11, and I think that sucks, man. I think that's actually it. I'm not allowed to do more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's it. I can't do any more. Shit. This is ridiculous. I wonder, I gotta check that. So yeah, actually the rules allow me to do a voluntary removal, or voluntary removal. So I could, if the unit type I want to place on the map is not available, I could remove troops or units from the map and place them into available. Yeah, okay, so I think I might want to do this at least for one more raid. So let's see. Let's roll here. Okay, now these are 5. So I want to at least grab this stuff here. So I guess I'm simply gonna maybe I'm not gonna do the attack. Yeah, okay. I'm simply going to bring a single guy in here and then grab here the loot. And I guess I might do a similar thing here at Demeter. Yeah, that probably makes sense. So I could place 6 there. Wonder how many. I mean, I'm pretty sure, because there's so many Romans here, maybe it's actually a better idea. Oh, actually I can place 2 here. I wonder how many I need to destroy the fortress. Damn, that's all so complex. Okay. I'm simply gonna place one guy here and grab this, and I still can then in the next well, you know what, I'm gonna 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's leave it like that. I still can in the next with the next raid, I can still try to move in here. Okay. So let's see. That were the raids in general, and now we can try to attack the strongholds. And how does that work? Well, let's do the attack here first. Now, the defender has now the option to either retreat into the hill fort or to do a field battle. While doing a field battle, both is not actually the best idea. He will lose both. But I think retreating is still a better option for him. Now each of these strongholds has a few values. Let's see. There we go. And you can see here the hill fort has a specific holding capacity of 2. So there can be 2 units inside such a hill fort, but it's only 1 in this case. And then what he does is we have now the first attack basically, and these guys are allowed to, they are allowed to do an additional attack if they are inside a stronghold. And that is each unit plus the intrinsic garrison of a stronghold, which is, in this case, where the hill fort is, a 1, will do damage equal to the escalate defense value of the stronghold, which is a half. So therefore, we have 1 unit, 1 trooper, the militia, and the garrison unit. So these are 2 units basically, and they will do then each half a damage. So that means they do 1 damage altogether. The raiders, they are worth only half a unit when it comes to absorbing damage during this step. So therefore they can kill 2 raiders in this first step, and they go simply back here into the available box. Now we come to the storm itself, and each unit now does exactly 1 damage to the other side. So we have here the garrison plus the militia, they do both 1 damage. And here we have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 raiders. They also do each 1 damage. And if they can destroy the garrison and the militia, they will take the the fortress, or basically they will destroy the fortress. And each damage now is exactly 1 piece. So this halving of raiders is no longer the case now. Each raider is worth 1, so they lose 2 more raiders. And the other side loses 1 militia, and they lose the hill fort. Okay, so right now, because they lost the hill fort, they immediately also lose control. So this area becomes uncontrolled, and that means they have 1 less control because it's a population of 1. And then, after destroying a hill fort, you can plunder this, and that means that you can get wait a second, you can get 2 more plunder from off map. So this doesn't come from the province, but it was inside the hill fort, right? So you get this stuff here. By the way, if you destroy a town, you get 3 plunder from that. Okay, so that was a pretty good raid. And let's do the same thing here now. And well, here we don't do an attack because we would lose. So we don't do it here. We don't do it here either, but we do it here. And here they also withdraw inside the castle. They do 1 damage, but these guys are only worth half. So we lose 2. Then it comes to the battle itself. They would destroy 2 of my guys, and I destroy the hill fort and the militia. Oops. And then, as a little bit of bonus, I would gain 2 plunder markers. And what is important, these guys lose control over Parisi. So Britain control goes down to 37. Okay, and finally we see here the raid at Corno, and that, or the battle there, and that's a little more interesting because here we have now the raid accompanied with a surprise feat. So that means we have a chance that we can take the city with a coup de main, or the fortress here. So first these guys will retreat into the fortress, and now let's see how that exactly works. We roll a d6. If the roll is less than or equal to 1 plus that stronghold's capacity less units withdrawn. Okay, that's very unlikely, I guess. So that's a hill fort. It has a holding capacity of 2. So we subtract 1 because there is 1 unit inside, so 1 remains, and then we add 1 again, so it's a 2. So if we are equal or less than 2 with a 6-sider, we take the stronghold right away. And yes, we did that. Fantastic. A successful coup de main. So that means these guys are killed. Oh no, shit, it was a town. Which makes it even better, because in a town there is a holding capacity of 4, and that means we could have actually rolled a 1 to a 4. So that was pretty good. So we took the town, and that allows us then to take 3 loot as as a reward here. That is definitely pretty amazing. 2, 3. Okay, and again Britain lose 2 control, so now they no longer fulfill their victory conditions. Okay, so that was now the raid commands of the Scots, and the Saxons, they now also can do some raids. And I think they can do up to 4, but then they are ineligible during the next card. But that is fine. The next card is this Tintagel, and that's not a good card anyway for them. And by the way, before we do these raids, we also have to adjust the prosperity now after these Scottish raids. We have lost 1 here. That's 3, 4, 6, and I think another one, yeah, here, 7. So that went now down to 73, and that means that the Romans also no longer fulfill their victory conditions. So the Saxons, they're going to have a harder time to land because of these patrolled oceans here. So for each fortress adjacent to such a patrolled ocean, they have to subtract 1. And that means at the moment on both oceans we have 3 fortresses. I think that counts for both oceans here. So that means for Oceanus Germanicus we have 1, 2, 3. For the other one, Britannicus, we have 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I want to use a ravage operation in addition to my raid in Atrebates. That will allow me to get even more loot there. So let's see how many guys I have there. Okay, so these would be 8, but I have to subtract 3, so I end up with 5 raiders there. Okay. And if I do a ravage feat, then the loot may exceed the population. So that means I can now actually take up to 5 prosperity away from this region. And that is one of the most rich regions in Britain, so that was very painful for these guys. So it goes down to 68 now. Okay, and then we continue. We try our next raid here. Again, we have to subtract 3. That was not so great. That's only 6, so we end up with 3 guys there. Okay, and we are allowed to grab 2 prosperity. Okay, there it goes. Then I want to try it here. Iceni. Okay, we have to subtract 3 again. So that was also not too good. We end up with only 4 people there. And that's not gonna be enough, I guess, to attack this this fortress here if I don't want to lose all my plunder. So you can see these patrolled seas, they change the game quite a bit actually. So that gives me 2. And the last target will then be this one here. Trinovantes. Oh boy, yeah, and I was extremely unlucky in rolling here. So that sucked for the Saxons. They end up with only 1 guy here. So they are only allowed to carry away 1 loot. And yeah, that definitely wasn't good. So I think they lose now 3 more, 2 for here and 1 for here. So that was a pretty bad action for the Saxons. And they also don't want to battle anywhere because they just, well, no, they just, it doesn't help them, I guess. So, yeah, it kind of sucked here. But okay, as I said, it's hard with all these patrolled sea areas. Okay, so now we've seen the, well, wait a second, I think because of that ravage action right here, the Romans could battle the Saxons, but I'm not sure if they want to do it because they only have a single unit in there, and they will lose the cavalry then. So I don't think it's worth it, actually. Okay, so now we're still on this card, and what happened now is only basically the Scots, they did trigger this event of the card. And now we're going to mark that we're no longer allowed now to do a raid from this side. And the Saxons doing their raids was only part of the event, so they become ineligible now. But now actually the Romans are second in order, so they can now also do an action, and they definitely want to do that. They want to try to intercept the raiders, so maybe they have the chance to recapture some of the loot here. Okay, so the intercept action is only allowed in regions with friendly control and raiders. So anywhere where the raiders manage to destroy the strongholds, this won't work. So for example, here, there, up here, no way, that's not going to happen. Which means they're probably mainly going after the Saxons, because everywhere there there is still control. I wonder, let me see. Okay, so what happens is you move your cavalry and or foederati from an adjacent space or along maintained roads with friendly control. So we have here now, as you can see, here from London, basically we have these roads here, right? Here, and also down here like this and there. And as long as these roads are maintained, and right now that is the case, the Romans can use these roads to move across the land, which makes them much, much faster. Okay. Now let's see, but you can see here, for example, there's no road that goes here, so still we could use these two guys, for example, and enter here, take back the area there, but I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, because it would be pretty expensive, and then if we try to take back that area, we cannot fight here, so yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, I don't think I want to do that. So first of all, where do we, let's see, we definitely want to go here, right? Because there's a ton of loot there, and we want to try to recapture that. So, then, yeah, let's see. What about here? That's tricky, man. I think we definitely want to go here. The thing is, each of these barbarians have some home territories. And that is, for the Scots, hill areas or some home terrain. And for the Saxons, it's these fence areas. And the raiders have a good chance, they have a 50-50 chance that if they get attacked in these home areas, that they simply may be able to evade. So it's a questionable action to attack them there, especially because, first of all, it costs resources to move there, and if they don't have too much plunder, like here, for example, it might not really be worth it. Here, on the other hand, well, they might actually really establish an outpost there, so I might consider moving there. So yeah, I think I want to do that. I think I want to go, well, basically you have to mark the origin region. So I think we're going to move from there, from here into there. And let me see. Well, here we cannot go. Might consider moving in here. Oh boy, it's hard to tell. It really is. I don't know, man. I think, yeah, okay, I think I want to move in here. Just push back the other guys a little bit. It's not going to be possible everywhere, but okay, let's do it like that. Okay, so this, we have now 4, no, wait a minute. Actually, let me see from where we can go here. This is not so easy. I mean, if we want to take the ones from London to move in here, or no, the ones from Eboracum to move here, maybe we shouldn't. Ah, shit. That's a tough one. It really is not easy. But I really want to get troops in there. Holy shit. Well, damn it. Okay, so I think I'm done. The plan is I'm going to go from these 4 areas here, and I'm allowed to simply take the money from the comitates. So I'm going to grab 8 resources, 2 per origins area. No, that's down here, exactly. And now I'm going to use my feet, and I can invite now troops from other tribes, from the barbarian tribes, to become foederati. And I can do that in a space with a Dux piece and friendly control. So my plan is to do it right here at Texto Verdi. And it costs me nothing. And I can place 3 Saxon warbands or 2 Scotty warbands and 1 matching settlement at a vacant site, or replacing a fort. And shit, I already see this is the problem here, because I don't want to replace a fort there. Ah, shit, that sucks. Boy, we could do it here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna do it here, which is also fine. Yeah, okay, cool. So that means I had 2 Scotty warbands, okay. So we're going to place these guys here, and 1 settlement. Okay. Now we're gonna mark these guys with red Federati markers. So they are now on our side. But we're gonna have to pay these guys later. Okay, so that was the invite action. We can only do this in a single space per feet. And now we're gonna do the intercept action. So we're gonna move with, I guess, yeah, maybe I'm gonna move these three guys up here. And I'm gonna move well, let me see. I need basically half the number of calf as there are raiders. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. So I need about 3. So I'm gonna take one of here and follow the street here, and then I can end up here, and I'm gonna take 2 from here to clean this mess out. And then here I'm gonna take one guy, follow the street, and end up here. And I'm allowed to, I could pick up comitatus pieces if they want to do that. Militia can only move one space, no matter if it's a street or not. Civitatis pieces, if they allow me to do that. But I think I don't want to. I guess I'm fine. And finally, I want to move with, wait a minute, yeah, here. I want to move here, and there are a lot of them. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, okay, it's not so bad. So I think I want to bring in 2 from here down here. And actually, I can only use the roads through controlled. Ah, look at that. That's indeed a point. I can only use the roads through controlled areas. That means, oh yeah, this is still control, under my control. And I can also only use the road into a controlled area. So actually here, I cannot use the road. That is important because that means I cannot move with this guy, but I have to move with this guy. Yeah, because I cannot use the road from here into that area. That would not be allowed. Oh, actually, I see now it has to be in general a region with friendly control and raiders. So I could not move in here anyway. Shit. I didn't see that. Okay, interesting. So I guess I might either go somewhere else. Definitely want to do it down here, but I don't have to move there. Okay, so I guess then I'm not going to move from here, but instead I might actually, that's tough. And it also means actually I cannot move there. Shit. Okay, so that is pretty bad actually. So we gotta move back. I think I'm gonna take the Federati anyway. They might be helpful later. But yeah, that actually changes things quite a bit. So I definitely will get some money back here. I'm not gonna need that. So I'm going to move down there. Going to move in there. Well, I guess I'm considering moving in here then with this guy. So that costs me another $2. Damn, I really don't know if it's so important to do that, or maybe not. It's just a single guy. No, and I don't want to leave this area here with the fortress and completely unguarded. So I kind of feel, hey, maybe it's really just these two spaces I'm going to move from. And I think that means that I actually only pay $4. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. But anyway. Okay, so now let's do the battle. I can do the intercept action here. So that means this guy will lose his loot right away. So I'm not even sure if it was worth trying it there. Because we have a field. Well, actually, that's not quite true. We have that battle there, and because it is in a fence area, he can try to evade, and on a 4 to 6, he actually will manage to do so. He didn't. Okay, so now we see a field battle, and in a field battle, first cavalry will charge, and they do 1 damage. Now these guys only can take half a damage, so they are destroyed right away by the Roman cav. And the cavalry has now 2 options. They can either keep the money for themselves, or half of the money, and I think it's rounded up, or they can give back 1 prosperity to the region, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to pay that back here. So prosperity goes again up 1 space. And I got to recount all that during the epoch phase. I'm really not sure if this is the actual if this is really the actual prosperity. Okay, now let's do the fighting here. That's again pretty easy. The Romans attack first. Now they will kill, and here actually the raiders, they could also try to evade, but because this is a clear terrain, they need a 6 to be successful here. And they don't have that. So that means we see also a battle here. And by the way, because that was a successful battle, I think the Romans will gain 1 prestige. If cavalry fought and its side lost fewer pieces than the enemy, add 1 prestige. Exactly. So this goes up 1 space now, and that means they will also gain here 1 prestige. Cool. Now then, here, same thing. They're going to fight, and they're going to kill 2, because they are each worth only half of it. And then at the next step, so the first thing is the charge ambush. That means the cavalry will attack. Then it's the melee step, and that's when the militia will attack. And the militia is only worth half a damage, but because these guys also can only take half a damage, they will also be killed before they even can fight back. And that means now the militia will actually take here the loot. They are allowed to do that. Although I don't think so, actually. I think the overall loot is halved. Yeah. Only half of the... Does that make any sense? Wait a minute. Here, if executive faction kills enemies with plunder, it may either distribute half round down of it as desired among attacking units, or return 1 prosperity to the space, or gain 1 renown for each. Okay, so they don't gain anything. So if they distribute it, because well, they could gain 1 actually. I wonder who makes the decision here. It's kind of interesting. Okay, so honestly, I don't know the answer here. I want to play it that way. As long as there is a military dominance, the dukes will decide, and as long as there is a civilian dominance, the others can decide what happens with the loot. So in this case, Dux is interested to pay back 1 to the prosperity. So this goes up a little further. Okay, and let's see. Do we have another battle somewhere? Yes, here. And that's a bigger one. So again, the Saxons will try to evade, and it would be pretty awesome for them if they could here. So they need a 6. And again, they didn't make it. So, yeah. Again, we see now this first charge step where these 3 guys can attack, and they will actually already simply kill the 5 Saxon raiders. Now, in this case, because they could only place a single prosperity in here, they might actually say, you know, we give every one of us a loot. It's just simply worth it. And by the way, I think I didn't actually say that already. Not only share the 2 guys resources, but they also battle together. You know, I mean, they also can battle each other, both Britain factions, or the Britain and the Romans. But as long as there is no fragmentation, they actually battle together. And I've already done that in another area, I think here. So just in case you wondered what happened there. Okay, so now here we all carry now... Well, actually, we're only allowed to carry half the plunder rounded down. So that means it's only 2. Well, I'm not sure. I want to do that, or do I want to give back then the prosperity? It's a tough decision. It really is. Well, I think actually, damn it, I don't know. It's really hard to tell. Let's keep it.
And I forgot to also add prestige. So we're gonna get prestige here. We're gonna get a prestige here. So we're gonna get 2 more prestige, which will also add to our victory conditions. And so we had 1, 2, 3 battles, right? And that's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. No more prestige. Guess that's it. Okay. Oops, what is that? Damn it, I think this guy was here. No, wait a minute, that can't be true. Oh yes, I think it is. They destroyed, yeah, exactly, they destroyed the hill fort there. Okay, so or was there a 4th battle? Wait a second. Okay, I think we were right here. I think I didn't mess this up. Okay, now that was actually the first card. It was this Conspiratio Barbarica. But okay, there was a lot going on here. And I think it's time to load this up now. So actually we haven't even played the first card of the game yet, which is a little ridiculous. But anyway, so that also means that these 3 factions are now ineligible, and only that faction is actually eligible, the Civitates. Okay, so yeah, hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye. Well, actually I decided, just had to come back here, because I think it would have been more clever to do things a little different here. So actually I just want to add a few interception actions. So what I want to do is I want to move from here to here, which won't cost me additional stuff because I pay for the origin region, and I moved already from Zeluris to Durotriges. So yeah, I wanna enter this area here. I wanna try a battle there, and I wanna enter from here to here, which will cost these guys 2 more bucks. And the point is, if I pay too much money, we might not be able to maintain the roads. But on the other hand, you know, I'm kind of eager to gain a little more prestige. So I'm considering moving in here, but no, that actually won't work really. No. That's a tough choice. I mean, no, I don't think I want to do that. But here I want to try it at least. So now these guys roll in a 4 to 6. They're fine. And they're not, so I can fight them. And so actually, yeah, I can fight them here. And I can give back the prosperity here. So I will gain 1 prestige and 1 prosperity, so that goes up 2 spaces now, which is pretty cool. The prestige also goes up. And here we're going to try the same thing. So first they try to evade, and this time they actually made it, so there will be no battle here. Okay, but still I think it's gave me basically 2 victory points. And yeah, I definitely wanted to do that. Okay, so yeah, hope to see you then. Bye.